All right, I think I'm live. Hold on, it doesn't say it. Let me replay.
Yeah, it's also right there.
It says it's live, but am I really live though? I can't. I'm trying to check it like on YouTube.
Open up 30 tabs.
There we are. Okay, cool. We're good. So welcome to the Veteran Live Stream 2022. Something kind of started like last year. Trying to make this a thing.
Yeah, it was last year.
It was very interesting to have like a bunch of veterans Lego together because the conversations that we have with each other are kind of different when we have them with like just regular civilians. or I mean, I'm a civilian now, but like, you know, people not in the military, like we kind of go into a space where like people just can't comprehend. I think it's really, really funny to watch people,
especially with our lingo, man.
Yeah. So right now we're gonna have a bunch of people coming in and out within the next 2 hours. But for right now we have Foker. I don't know why you're saying senpai. I don't know. Is there significance to that now?
Yeah, I'm a senpai.
Okay. And no more Bricks. How's it going, guys?
Hi. Konbanwa. Seems pretty appropriate.
Yeah, I guess. Cool. So I don't even know if I'm showing up, but either or, representing the Navy for all three of us. There's no Army in here. What's going on?
No Army in here.
Army will be in a little bit. Marines will be in a little bit. Do I have Air Force come in? Air Force said they might come in.
My wife is she just got out of the Air Force, but she doesn't want to come on.
She just got why? Tell her come on. We give you service members.
Yeah, I know, right?
Emily.
Now she's studying.
Studying. Is that War Total? How's it going, man? I just got my first Brickmania order and I'm hyped. Active Air Force here. What's going on? Oh, there we go. So now we have Air Force in the chat.
There you go.
Good old Air Force.
Cool.
Yeah, and I don't know. Sometimes I look at the Air Force. I don't know if you guys seen that. Like, do you guys watch YouTube like boot camp videos lately? I mean, it's kind of in, so I don't know if you guys would, but I'm out and I miss it. Oh, there's Justin. He'll be here in a little bit. But I watched the Air Force one and I was like, this is BS. This is some bullshit right here. Like, I don't know why this seems stressful at all to any of these people, but they're not even yelling at you.
Yeah, they're not. The Space Force one was funny. Come on, you can do it. Yeah, come on, you can do it. I was like, there's no way.
That's what we need in the community is a Space Force Lego person. There's no one. I don't know anyone.
I know. I've never
Space Force.
Apparently,
and you would think they, of all people, would have a lot of Lego.
I don't think I've ever met anyone in the Space Force either.
There was apparently a Space Force cadet in Quantico when I was there last year. Apparently she was like causing a ruckus with all the Marines in the arbor.
Of course.
Yeah. It got so bad, like she got, I don't want to say locked up, but she got secured into the chaplain's like office area on the main deck.
So like
dude, it was wild. Like I heard all these stories about like Marines causing all this, you know, all your stuff.
Because we think we're the shit, dude. Like,
dude, it was so funny. I was like, what the hell?
It's like if like someone else comes in our base, we're like, who the hell are you? But when we go on other people's bases, we want to take over and make ourselves known. It's really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I mean, the Navy gets it, so like,
yeah,
whatever. But like when we go to like an Army base, for like a training or same thing with an Air Force base, like it's like we're gonna make sure you know we are here, no matter where we're at. And I'm sure it's like super annoying.
Yeah.
But I don't know, whatever. That's how Marines are.
With Iwakuni being a Marine air station, I'll be walking to the mini mart and there's just like a handmade barbecue pit out of a tire room, and you just have like 7 shirtless dudes around a giant speaker blaring everything from Rammstein to like dubstep, and they're just screaming at the top of their lungs. I'm like, okay, well, welcome to our Marine base, I guess.
That's like Cardinal Lucky Strikes. That's what we did in Oki.
That sounds right. That actually sounds very accurate.
Dang, I miss Japan. Thanks.
Never been. What's going on with the brick? Yeah, I've never got the opportunity to go to Okinawa or Japan or anywhere in Asia. I was supposed to get like right before I got out, I was supposed to go on a Westpac. Like my unit was like selected to go on a little Mew. And I was like, I'm over this. Peace,
Oh,
have fun on your
dude.
cruise. And now that it's
Yeah.
over, I'm like, oh, I kind of regret it.
I don't know. You'll be on the 30 worst Mew.
Probably.
Those ships, bro, they break down. I was supposed to go to Peru last year. Guess what happened?
What?
Ship broke down, canceled. I was like, dang.
What ships were they? Or what ship was it?
Are
you even allowed to say that?
I know. I was like,
no, don't say it. Oh, we got another Marine in here. We got a Marine officer. We got to salute. Oh, you guys have to salute.
By the way, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. How was Marine Corps birthday on with you?
Good. So we did our actual ball last weekend, Saturday night at Caesar's Palace. So it was pretty good.
In Vegas?
Oh,
yeah.
I know.
Oh no, that's a bad combination.
Oh
yeah. So it's funny. I told my wife, like, we came in, or and we were able to walk around Friday night because we went up there Friday night. So we're walking around, like, getting a lay of the land and eating, and then we walked around a bit the next day too. And I get back to work on Monday and had a urinalysis. I was like, man, I hope I don't get pop on this just because of how many people were smoking weed around me, just walking up and down the streets. It was pretty serious.
We did Vegas once for a ball. I don't remember that one so much. Hey, Tyson gave us a $10 super sticker. Appreciate that, man.
Oh, shoot. Nice.
Is he able to see the comments? Yes, I do. Veterans are awesome. I appreciate that.
Let's see. I'm gonna see if I can set this over here. Because I'm just set up in the middle of one of these. So we're rearranging a bunch of stuff in the house, and so I don't have my normal studio set up. So this used to be Addison's bedroom, and then the extra room was the studio. Shy, like the layout, that sort of.
Yeah.
So like, now the studio room, which was a little bit larger, is now going to be her room, and then this smaller space has to be kind of like my rescue residence office plus a studio-ish space. Plus, it needs to have this bed. I guess this bed set up in here, so it's kind of guest bedroom, and then my mom will be in here for just a little while until she gets her own place, and then we'll replace this bed with like an actual like Murphy bed style thing, so that it can be closed up and still be the studio space. And then if guests come, we can bring the bed out.
Nice.
So right now it's just a mess. Like, actually, hold on, I'll show you. It's a disaster. So
cool room tour.
Nope.
Oh,
there we go.
yeah.
I was looking at the wrong screen.
yeah, it's just crap all over the place.
I still need to give you your Lego back.
Yeah. We were over your way the other night. We went to Garden Grove. Went to the garden.
That's still far.
Oh, Garden Grove.
That's still far.
It's not as far as I have right now.
No.
But yeah,
That's true.
we went to the Garden Amp for. We went to Hawthorne Heights and Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and Escape the Fate, and it was like 5 or 6 bands. And we got the like backstage pass sort of setup. So we got the VIP sound check, signed posters. My daughter brought her drumsticks, and the band signed all her drumsticks.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
I was actually so surprised that Korn is still touring.
Yeah.
Hey, Rock is coming back hard, man.
I know.
Like Paramore's coming back, but
Paramore.
System of a Down is gonna come back. Supposedly.
Blink 182.
Blink hasn't announced a tour. Like it's
I saw Bush. Bush is gonna perform out here at Yamava. Like, yeah, I was like, what?
What?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I was like looking at my sailors. I was like, "Do you guys even know who Blink 182 is?" Like,
my daughter does. So.
Oh, dang, nice.
They will soon.
She's all about the like late 90s, early 2000s rock and punk stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that type of music is gonna come hard within the next couple of years. It's really interesting. So, I mean, I'm down for it.
It seemed like a big part of the comeback is there's a new like event every year now in Vegas called either when we were young or we were young or something like that. And it's all of the late 90s, early 2000s bands that were like really big on the rock scene, all in one huge major 2-day concert up in Vegas every year. And the last 2 years they were basically like between 60 and $80 per ticket, and now they're like $1,000 for next year. It's
Yeah, those plane tickets are like, dang, that's a whole paycheck. Or like half a paycheck.
Luckily I can drive to Vegas. So.
Well, Vegas also did the first Lovers and Friends. It's like the hip hop version of that. Where like all the music from like the late 90s, early 2000s hip hop, like both R&B and like rap. And like my wife and I saw the lineup, we're like, oh my god, this is like high school.
Looks so good. Yeah.
It looks so awesome. And we wanted to go, and we couldn't, we thought it was like a kind of like, it wasn't gonna happen. We thought it was just gonna be like but like supposedly it was a good time. Nothing happened. We thought something was gonna happen, like something's gonna pop off. We're like, nah, everyone's too old for that. Like this isn't like when we were young, you know what I mean? This is like everyone's in their 40s and late 30s, and no one's gonna like shoot each other up.
Yeah. They're all too old for that now.
Yeah, we're all too old for this.
Was it like I share Ja Rule?
Yeah, like those gonna shoot each other. So yeah, we're going to go to Vegas soon.
Okay.
I think my wife and I are like leaving for Vegas in a couple weeks, just to get away from
I want to get away from here.
You know what, actually, so it's looking like next weekend, not like starting tomorrow or tonight or whatever, but next weekend we might be in Irvine for about like one of my best friends daughters on like a national level softball team, and they're competing down there, so we can maybe do the box exchange then.
I'm actually gonna be gone that weekend.
Is that when you go to
Vegas? I'm gonna make it a point to go visit you this sometime before the year ends. Just say hi.
Okay. Hey, so one Sunday per month, whichever one is the one that they're hosting. It's usually like right in the middle of the month. The Love Local CV event down in like it's down near Palm Springs, basically. Is where I've been taking the ambulance every single month to like.
Oh yeah, you want to? Let's talk about that. What are you doing?
So actually, I joined this using the invite from Rescue Residents, but I think I don't know how it signed me in or showed what.
USMC. That's what.
Yeah, it still asks me to type a name, so I was like, whatever, I'll just type it, so that way it shows me. But so yeah, so December. So in about a month, it will have technically existed for a year, which is crazy.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah. I'm planning to still try to host an event. I just don't think it'll be as big as I originally wanted to, but it's the first year event, so that's okay. So December 16th through the 18th is the plan. I still have a few musicians, a few comedians. I'm looking at like getting a stage and basically trying to find like an open space and a stage and have everybody just park, and it'd be more like a freaking campfire hangout the first year. And we'll figure it out for next year. Hopefully it'll be a little bit bigger, but I started a nonprofit organization to start helping reduce veteran homelessness in Southern California. So,
nice.
Yeah, it's a big problem. So we have a podcast that me and Rasan do that Shy was on once, and we talk mostly on that one about like just generally politics and government stuff. I have my degrees in political science, and then I have a degree in organizational leadership and management for my master's. And like I dig in deep on this stuff, and I try to like learn as much as I can about not just how our government functions today and what our responsibilities are and what we do, but like the history of it, like what's the legacy, not just of the country and the Constitution as it was created for us, but what was their inspiration and why does that history exist, and what are the reasons for some of the decisions and things that they made. So so I'm going to pause a second though. So Jerry Houston, you're worth it, just so you know. Right? Have you heard that yet, Shy?
No.
So Kyle Carpenter, no, not Kyle Carpenter. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now. I literally was just looking at it, and I switched over to come here. So the introduction to his book, Medal of Honor winner, why can't I think right now? He's one still touring and talking and doing stuff. Shy, he's a Marine.
Is it on the reading list? Am I supposed to be reading this book?
I know. I was gonna ask.
It just came out. It just came out. The most recent, still living.
That list.
the only like most recent still living Medal of Honor winner. I can't do it. Jumped on the grenade.
Oh yeah, yes, I know who he is. Yes, I know who he is.
Anyway, so his book just came out, and in the introduction, he talks about this story and how, you know, and I'm sure you guys probably have experienced this too. Like, I don't always know exactly how to respond, right? So you get the thank you for your service, and it, for a lot of us, feels a little weird. You're like, I don't know you prior to this, and I didn't do this for you. Like, there were lots of other reasons, and I joined because I feel like service is important. Or he talks about this idea that a response we can give, even if maybe their initial reason for saying it felt canned maybe a little bit, is to say that that person who's thanking us for our service, whatever, is worth it, right? We did this with the idea that we're defending their freedom and defending this country and the citizens who chose, you know, to lead a different life. The life we chose is a life towards defending their service, because we think that the rest of the citizens and every other person in this world is worth us being willing to make that sacrifice potentially. And so it's kind of a really cool, like, deep thought.
Wow.
That I want to learn more about it. I want to read what he's saying, because he goes way into it. I watched about like 4 minutes of his like 7-minute introduction, and then I'm gonna pick up the book and read it later. But I like the shift in my own mindset on how I maybe respond to that statement to us.
So you respond by saying worth it.
You're worth it.
You're like, you as a person saying,
the person who just said thank you for your service, you say you are worth it.
Wow. I think that's gonna throw a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I mean, it throws us off sometimes whenever they go, thank you for your service. It's like,
thank you too.
Yep. But you don't know what they're doing, like if they're serving or what. But
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Dakota Mayor.
He said the first time he did it, like they both just like froze for a minute, you know. The other guy's like,
yeah, like you don't know how to respond to that. Like, what?
Yeah, what do you say?
Yeah.
Thank you for the support.
Yeah. So now my
Dakota Mayor.
What's that?
Dakota Mayor.
Dakota Meyer. He
Meyer. Yeah.
Meyer. Yeah. Jumped on a grenade. There's some pretty interesting videos about like his recovery and like interviews with him. Like, dude, how are you even alive? Because he definitely probably should have died based on what he did. I'm sure he expected to.
Yeah, he just wrote $2. So I was trying to look for that.
Yeah, I'll go back to it and figure out what the title is here in a second. But
yeah, I mean, if you just type in the name, he only has one book, right?
It's not like he's saying there's 2, maybe.
Oh, there's 2. Okay.
I know wiki.
You're worth it. Wow,
But yeah,
I'm gonna use that before the
my
night
response
ends.
lately has been
Your youth.
Yeah. But
No,
I have
actually,
my business cards for the nonprofit now, and so my response has just been to give them a business card and start talking about the nonprofit.
Here.
Hey, you know what? That's interesting. I appreciate you. Thank you for my service. If you really want to help veterans, let me tell you a little bit about this organization. I'm there. Bam, give them the card.
Here's my pitch.
Yep.
How's that? Is that working?
Yeah. It's a good. So for one, right, it helps me not feel so awkward about that interaction, because it does feel a little weird. But then it gives me a reason to start this. It feels like a good segue. Like, let's talk about how you could do more maybe to help us. Help veterans. That if you really want to thank veterans for their service, like there's quite a few who are homeless on the streets right now. Let's do something to try to stop that. So
yeah.
Across the country, the current point in time count says there are about 65,000 veterans homeless nationwide. 11,000 of them are in California.
Dude.
Yeah. So that's part of why like staying here and starting here makes sense for the career and the plan. So I think if we start in Southern California, especially, it's bad. The Veterans Affairs Office in Los Angeles, specifically Los Angeles, not LA, and because LA has one and Orange has one, and a lot of times they're, stuff blends between the two. But just in the Los Angeles area of responsibility, whatever, for the VA, it has over 5,000 veterans homeless just in that area, and they only have 5 folks at the VA's office responsible for veteran outreach for homelessness. And so there's just not enough people working at the VA specifically to help with it. And so one of the big steps, we're going to take is working with the VA's office. And I've found other organizations too. So there's Oath to Country Foundation there in Los Angeles that's doing a lot to work with veterans and homelessness. So I'll probably be leaning more towards a partnership with them, and then providing lots of volunteers, because I still have a lot of access to active duty Marines and others who can volunteer to help with that, and then like they get benefits out of the volunteering, and I see like it also being long-term like organizational benefit of doing this outreach as a young active duty service member, seeing where things could go, planning ahead, and maybe making sure that doesn't happen to them later. So not just are they helping those who are currently there, but maybe that helps keep that from happening for quite a few later. But that's totally like standard stuff, not the weird thing that we're doing, which is I think where Shy wanted me really to go.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah, so the creative solution, right? There are plenty of organizations that are working to help reduce veteran homelessness. But what we're doing is specifically identifying those who are interested in like going somewhere else, right? So the idea is if you're willing and don't have a situation where you kind of need to stay in Los Angeles or San Diego or San Bernardino or Riverside or whatever, like these major metropolitan areas here in Southern California. If you're good with going away, that's step one, like find those who are willing to do that. And then two is interested in a trade skill. So are you good with the idea of finding a job or a trade skill that is marketable anywhere in the country, right? So you want to be a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber, someone who does, web design. Like you could go anywhere in the country and someone's going to hire you because those jobs have to exist everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you get one of those trade skills by going through our programs and getting the training. So we're going to partner up with lots of local organizations that do those kinds of training and then do internships or basically get certified and do apprenticeship through trades stuff. So part of it is getting training, making sure that they're marketable to get a job when they're done with going through our program. The second is they're going to design and build with us a tiny home, basically, that is in the back of an ambulance. So you have retired ambulances. You build this thing out as a mobile home, basically an RV that's custom designed by you and our team together. And then you now have a trade skill that's marketable anywhere in the country and a home that you can take anywhere you want to go. And so we start looking nationwide for jobs, and you find a job that pays enough for you to have a good like life, basically, where you can maybe still travel and do the cool stuff you want to do with your home that you have available to you somewhere else in the country where what they pay is probably enough to actually like live and survive there. But I think a big part of it is breaking the cycle, right? So if you do some research, you'll find that most people who are homeless go into a program, get off the streets for a while, and end up back being homeless. And part of that is because probably the people they're hanging out with and the people they spend most of their time around with aren't probably the people they should be, aren't in their best interest, aren't those who are really looking out for them. Maybe what you really need is to just go somewhere and start fresh before you decide maybe to come back when you're on your feet and are a little more kind of like in the right frame of mind to kind of have that life again. So that's what we're doing. It's a little weird doing the ambulance rebuild thing.
I don't think it's weird.
Yeah, I think it's weird.
It's a different approach to helping.
A little weird. We got dogs. Were they annoying?
No, I
Come here,
said
Al.
Oh, we got doggies coming on screen.
All right, we got dogs.
I'm allergic.
Oh, little dog.
It's a wiener dog.
It's a wiener dog.
Puppy time.
This is Hallow. It was just his holiday. His name is Halloweeny.
Oh, wow. Cute.
Yeah.
Oh.
You love me.
Dude, Halloween's weird here, by the way.
He said, "I love you."
I love you. I love you.
Oh.
He talks a lot.
I love you. I love you.
You say it? You say, "I love you."
I love you.
10 under 10 has a military question. Before we dive back into the organization, I have a military question. I don't know how much about the armed forces, but you guys might. If America got thrown into another war, would the retired or discharged members have to join the armed forces?
No.
To my knowledge, no. A lot of veterans pretty much get disabled after a while and they can't re-enlist. There's like certain criteria for them to come back in. Usually, no. But like all active duty, they go into inactive reserve for a little bit of time. So two years for most. So after they get out, after they fulfill their tour of duty, they have 2 years of inactive reserve, meaning they can be called up in time of war. Essentially, they honestly they don't do anything with the military for those 2 years. They just check in once a year. But as far as there's another question, like a little bit after that, or was it something to do? Here we go. What the bricks said, since there hasn't been a major war for a little, if there was another war, would people get drafted? Well, there was a war. There was 2 of them, and we were involved in it for 20 years. And I will say, like, at least I know we got pulled out of that in a weak way, but at least how I make myself feel better about the humiliation at the end was whatever we learned in 20 years of fighting there has been indoctrinated into Western military and is now being used with the Ukrainians who are now kicking the Russians' ass. using what we do, what we've learned in 20 years. So
even tactical medicine.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta say that.
Exactly. I don't think though. Right now, the military is severe. Is it severely understaffed, guys? I really don't. I know it's hurting. I know the you guys. I don't even since you guys are in. You guys didn't really answer that question, but like I do know based on public knowledge and like reports is that we don't have enough to fight two fronts right now, which is bad. So if we go into World War III and we have to fight two fronts, meaning I'm just gonna say like the Asia side and the Eastern side, we can only choose one. So let's just keep that in mind. But I don't know if a draft is going to be a very hard thing to approve with our Congress. So I don't think that's going to happen. And I honestly prefer a professional military that knows what the hell they're doing and can take on like 300 than a conscript army. So we'll see. And if it does lead into World War III, I don't think the recruiters are going to have a hard time finding people to join. So
it would. I think it would depend on the scale, right? Before talking about whether we would or wouldn't go to a draft.
Yeah.
If at any point the citizens of the United States feel like they're honestly threatened, right? The idea being that potentially we lose the ability to have our way of life and like that we would end up moving to some other kind of culture. I'm gonna wipe that down. Like be honestly like defeated and completely taken over or something like that. Oh, thank you. Now I have 2 dogs in here. Yeah. Then the draft would become an option. I think that the citizens would push for it. Suki, come here. You want to see Princess Ginsuki? Hold on.
Sure.
Come here.
It's like
distracted by dogs.
Shy time is puppy time.
This is another one.
Yeah, this is a different dog. This is Princess Ginsuki. So her name is Japanese and it means silver moon. And you can see she's like silver and gray dapple.
Japanese stream.
We got her and the other one you saw. We got both of them in Japan. So
okay.
Yeah. All right, let's let her back down. She doesn't like being like that. But
I think Shy's the only one not to be in Japan at one point.
Yeah, I've never been.
I know.
I spent 12 years in Japan. So.
Oh, nice.
You loved it.
Yeah.
Apparently everybody loves it.
Yeah.
I honestly missed out.
It's great, and I encourage everybody I can to like do a tour and decide whether they want to stay there longer because most people, at least in the Marine Corps for sure, think they don't want to go because they're like, I don't want to go that far from home. But like a big part of why you joined is to do that kind of stuff. And I guarantee if you go and you really like experience it, you're gonna really dig it.
You have one chew high. You stay.
Yeah, that's true. And if you get the true high strongs, like fired up.
Actually, I had those.
Yeah, super strong. The one you had up there just now, Shy, is very accurate. So you kind of were close to it, Shy, where you mentioned you have 2 years afterwards. It is a total of 8. So it's 8 years on that first contract, no matter what you do with it. So for example, my first contract was 5 years active duty actually because I had a super long school. So I was going to be there for a year basically in school before I ever hit the fleet Marine Corps. So they're like, I'm still getting 4 years out of you. So 4 more years active duty. So I had to do a 5-year full active contract, which meant if I EAS'd at that point, I would have only had 3 years of inactive reserve. So it's always 8 years total for that first contract.
There you go. Answer that question.
But I do think that there's potential, if the citizens of the United States said like, this is important, we're about to friggin' end up becoming, or like where we might be speaking a different language, then you're gonna want to see the draft. You're like, everybody needs to fight. Everybody needs to be doing everything they can to contribute to whatever this is, and then it would be a lot more palatable for the citizens to accept, doing a draft. And then I think, what was the other one? Do we think so? I honestly, I kind of talk about it because I'm like retiring supposedly this summer. I may end up with 1 extra year. We'll see.
What? You said you were retiring like last year, like for sure this year.
So
how many years?
World War III happens. You need to get out.
Let's come back to that piece. But that if I was retired and something kicked off right afterwards, that there's a fair chance they're like, hey, dude, we need you to come and help plan all this stuff.
For sure.
So I was like, I can still see it happening. I could totally see it happening. But.
At least enjoy it for like the year before you get called back in.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think that there is room in the policy to be able to recall those who have recently retired, recently EAS'd, even if they're outside of inactive reserves, because those would be who you'd want to bring back first. That's what I would want with us first, right? Is like you already have the training, you already have the experience. We just need to kind of get those skills back. Let's run a practice drill up the hill, and then we're going.
Yeah. Oh, that's
See, Danny was like, see, you can get. So was that during like stop loss and then bring everybody back and everything else?
What?
That happened a lot, like in the 2000s time. Like a lot of people got stop loss right before they're supposed to be getting out. During that time.
Let me stop letting them out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to join the military when I'm old enough. Good luck with that.
Go officer.
Yeah, go officer if you can.
Yeah,
how
please
bad is
go
basic? I'm not sure if I can do it yet. It's probably the easiest thing in your entire career.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Actually, me and my guys had a conversation about that. It's like, wouldn't it be fun to go back? Because I know, like, Navy boot camp, the cornbread was fire.
The food was great.
Okay.
It's just you were in the mindset to enjoy it.
So just to let you know, if you want to, you can go eat the cornbread there. You do not have to be going through basic to go there and eat the cornbread. If you really felt like that was the thing you wanted to do, just go to the chow.
Was that like your thing that you needed to have? Like for me, it was like the sugar cookies. Like I wanted the sugar cookies at the end of the dessert aisle.
No, I don't know if they like got it from a special bakery, but it was like came in fresh, and I was like, "Damn, this is like the best part of the day." Get the cornbread.
I'm feeling simple as shit. I was like the little peanut butter packets. I was fucking pocket
You're
those.
Oh yeah,
You're the one. You're the one that got caught. Everyone got screwed.
Yeah. Except for one, I was double rats. I joined the Marine Corps. I was 120 pounds.
Holy crap!
And
you left
so
out. Like, how much weight did you lose when you got out?
What do you mean?
Were you still, because you went in at 120, right?
Yeah.
Did you leave at 120 or did you leave less?
No, I was up to about 160.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah. So I was homeless, man. Like that's part of why this mission is important for me. I was homeless as a teenager.
Okay.
When I joined,
Full circle.
and so like finding food was a thing. Like I had to worry about that. And so, I joined at about 120, and the goal for them obviously was like, you're gonna put on muscle. And I could do 3 pull-ups, but that was because I was like so skinny that I just didn't have the strength to do it. And so it was increase my strength and eat more. So
I was a double rats only because like my senior, it was his last cycle, and he wanted to leave like honor. So he said, if anybody can do 20 pull-ups, I'll give you double rats. I did 20 pull-ups, got double rats.
nice.
And I remember we had, when sometimes another drill instructor from another platoon would like kind of watch you, just like get food or take you to chow for some reason. That only happened like probably twice. I remember like that drill instructor looking at me, he's like, "You're a double rat," and I'm like, "Yes, sir. This recruit's a double rat, sir, because he can do 20 pull-ups." Like, get out of my face. Disgusting. Give me those.
Now they're giving like a couple grands to people that pass their first PRT. All that stuff, like Navy side. That was wild. I was like, where's my 5,000?
Oof.
It's like, well, me. I never failed a PRT.
Yeah, whenever the new people come in and they're like, "Yeah, I had a re-enlistment, or I had an enlistment bonus of this much," I'm like, "What was that when I was?"
Yeah.
Like
right now, there's bonuses going up the yin yang, right? Because of how hard it is.
Like we got this new airman Schmuckatelli who's like, "Yeah, I got $5,000 for re-enlistment or for an enlistment bonus." I'm like, you know what I could have? You know how many Legos I could have bought with $5,000? Yeah.
Way to throw the Lego in there. It was great.
I will say, like every re-enlistment that I did. So once I became an officer, don't get that number. But every re-enlistment, I got a bonus. Every single one, including my original enlistment. But part of that was like picking the right jobs. Like that job has a bonus, I'm gonna take that job.
But you're like important.
Yeah, but now they're
the
like
Marines invested a lot in you.
They just keep promoting me instead of giving me bonuses. So
I don't know what they're doing. They just keep on promoting me.
Made a comment about being in Afghanistan in 2010. where were you at in Afghanistan, Danny Bricks? Because I was in Afghanistan in 2010.
I left right before I turned 2010.
Yeah.
December.
I was there from January of 2010 until February of 2011. So
I was like, high five. Bye, guys. Your turn. It's all quiet right now. Oh, here we go.
Did you fly in like that initial MEU that went in? No.
No. We were the MEF. We turned into the MEF.
The MEF.
You were there for the transition between the division to the RC, basically.
Yeah. We were the initial invaders though.
Yeah.
So we weren't the recon units that were like starting the whole thing. So when we got there, Camp Leatherneck wasn't even built yet. They were building it. Yeah. So
set up Rhino, right? Basically, Camp Rhino was the first one.
Yeah, we established Cobb Payne.
If
anybody is familiar with that area, that was like ours. I remember like setting it up. I'm like, we have to create a berm out of what?
Shovels.
Shovels. They're like, dang. We're like, oh.
Yep.
We're supposed to make 12-foot mounds with this.
Pre-HESCO barriers, right? That was all pre-HESCO barriers too.
Yeah, my senior chief, like as soon as they graduated like A school, field med, they got shipped to Afghanistan. Like brand new corpsmen. They're like, what do we do?
Oh, great.
No, but it was like surreal, like listen to their stories. It was crazy. So I was like, do you have a Purple Heart? Like, yeah, I got shot. And I was like, what the hell?
I managed to avoid that so far.
Banging and Singing 2012.
Yeah, Sangin. Okay, so he was in the same area I was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at the RCT. So I was RCT2 in Delaram, and Sangin was one of our battalion positions. So I helped set up all the communications so that they could do their shit. So I had to pop out to Sangin a few times to make stuff work. So.
Just don't get fat. Is my only advice. That's it.
And listen.
Hard. And listen. That's it. That's it. I mean, I think anybody can pass. It's all mental. I don't think it's
mental.
I don't think it's hard whatsoever physically, unless you're like severely overweight. Then it's gonna be a problem. But like, it's only like temporarily. Like you'll get it. Like I've seen some like really big dudes like really come out like strong. So it's all mental.
Yeah, 100% right, Shy. Like, so the mental piece of it is the challenge, right? So that's like a process. The idea is to remove your individuality at first. Make sure that you understand you are a part of this group and only a part of this group, and that is the only way you're going to make it through this is understanding that you as an individual no longer matter, right? It's only about you making sure you're a part of this team, and that's how you'll be successful. So as long as you can be ready to be like, they're going to destroy whoever you are, like as a person individually, as long as you're ready for that, you'll be all right. So
yeah, which branch are you going in?
That's it. I mean, I don't think it sounds like they don't know yet, but
yeah.
I guess.
All right, so let's collectively do this. If we were trying to convince this person to join a branch, which one would it be?
Space Force.
Yes.
Yeah.
Future.
Because I'm a super nerd, so like I wish I could join Space Force right now, but the problem is I'm holding out. Like I told him, I'll switch over, but you got to make me a colonel. So.
Space Marine.
Yeah.
Right. 40K.
Whoa.
Yeah, I do a lot of space operations.
For the Emperor.
Like Space Marine all the time. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm there. Hey, they could be something serious like soon, right? I mean, what do they mainly do? They kind of just watch the skies, right? That's their main focus.
So there's stuff that is important as a like operational thing. So you know the difference. So gosh, I don't know with this crew, but
what's up, Shy?
Hey, welcome.
Hey, what's up, man?
Back.
We haven't talked in a long time. But
It's been a minute.
Hello.
So can anybody else tell me the different domains of warfare? Like, do you know what the domains of warfare are?
Cyber.
Okay, so you listed a new one, right? So what are the three that everybody knows?
That's all I was gonna say.
Yeah. What are the three that you probably have Lego sets that cover?
Air.
Yep.
Land. Sea.
Let's see, right? So those are the three we've known forever, right?
Yeah.
Space.
And yeah, so now it's you start thinking cyber and space, and then anybody know like the most newest one that's kind of becoming a big thing we want to talk about? So it's electromagnetic spectrum stuff. So right, it's like radio waves, it's jamming, it's all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So all three of the ones we just named that are like everybody keeps talking about as individual ones, they're not individual ones. So they're actually a part of a single new domain, which is called information. So it's the information domain. So it's the idea that all of the things that allow you to do the other ones are now like a single thing that we need to think about and be concerned about, because you lose the ability to actually do anything if you don't have that stuff anymore, right?
So are they a bunch of hackers?
And so it's a combination, right? So like, yes, underneath information includes cyber, includes space, and includes the EW, but it also includes just what you normally think of as information warfare. What if I fly an airplane over enemy territory and drop a bunch of flyers in a language they can read, telling them not to trust their own government? That's information warfare, right? That's you doing the hearts and minds kind of thing, right?
Berlin Wall, Cold War.
Yeah, it's all of that. It's dropping food that they can't get into an area and putting an American flag on it, right? Like,
yeah.
So it's a strategic kind of campaigning thing where you're like, we have to think on the what's the messaging piece of this, and that's included in it too. So Comstrat guys, the guys who do news stories and combat camera and all that other stuff, that's all a part of information warfare now too.
Wow. So why space?
So think about space as a resource as well, and then what are all of the things we can do if we treat it like an actual warfighting domain? So, hey, Cliff, there, you're worth it.
Hey. You did it.
I'm bringing it back. See,
Just if you missed it, when how people say thank you for your service, you respond with "you're worth it."
Yeah,
okay.
You have to point out you're worth it.
It's gonna throw them off. It's gonna throw them off so hard, especially on a day like today. Like today is like an easy one, or everyone's pretty much gonna say Happy Veterans Day if they know you're a veteran, right? It's a common thing to do. It's just it is what it is. But like on a random time when you get like thank you for your service, because you're wearing something like more subtle, that's usually like you wouldn't know that you're in the military unless you know.
Right.
So then, like, people are like, when someone says thank you for your service, you automatically presume like they're in the service because they're seeing something,
Look at my sweater.
Oh, nice shirt. Oh, I'm not wearing mine.
I saw once like his gun style is one. So I was like, I'm gonna pull my sweater off.
Might as well.
I had that shirt in my cart for a long time. I don't know why I never pulled the trigger.
It sucks. This is the one now that I have to wear when I'm doing like work around the house because I got some paint on it. There's like
burn.
Like paint. I was like, dang it. So now when I'm doing housework and stuff, we had two trees. We had a big windstorm here on the 8th, and we had 2 trees like fall over. So I was out doing a bunch of cleanup, and I bought a new chainsaw, and we get to use that tomorrow. So
that's gonna be fun. Going
electric because we're supposed to. I have to test it. I was like, it's one of those things like I want to know. I got a nice big DeWalt one. I'm like, let's see how well this thing does it. Supposedly it says it's 2 times faster.
We'll see.
Favorite military movie?
Someone say the new Top Gun movie.
I was about to say that because you know what I'm working on?
Because I still haven't even seen it.
What?
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
So currently working on the Maverick F-18.
Oh, that's nice, man.
I know what Shy's doing.
Oh, nice.
This is a pain in the ass to build because there's no instructions to it.
What?
Just here's the parts.
It's a brick veteran kit, and brick designers made a mod to be able to get printed parts for it to make it the Maverick version. But there's no instructions, so like you're kind of building it off another F-18 and having to guess where these printed parts gonna have to go. I mean, it's making me think. But I don't have that type of time to think.
So it's more like putting a puzzle together than it is like
So it's pretty
for being someone who works on the F-18, watching Top Gun Maverick, it's like, I'm so interested in seeing what they get right and wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like if anyone who like rides a tank looks for all the inaccuracies in Fury.
Oh, Fury is hardcore inaccurate though.
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking for all the inaccuracies in Top Gun Maverick, and it's like, okay, yeah, they wouldn't exactly do that, but
all right, so kill it for me then. What's not accurate?
Well, And I'm imagining too, do you do maintenance? You're like a maintainer for them, or?
Yeah.
So you're also watching like the crazy shit they're doing. Like, dude, you know how many hours worth of flight maintenance you just caused by doing that ridiculous maneuver? Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Like doing that Cobra maneuver. It's like, okay, well, that's at least a 30-hour inspection that we're all gonna have to do. He better buy pizza for the entire maintenance group because he is not going to be popular.
No, you watch me that, you're like, fuck you, dude. That's not cool.
Yeah, it's like anytime a pilot comes in and he hits a hard landing, he'll usually come down with a giant stack of pizza. He's like,
oh, sorry.
You want me? Like, you got any tools? You want me to help? Anything I can help with? Like, no, sir, you've done enough.
That doesn't happen.
No, we're gonna be on this all night. Appreciate you.
You gotta Star Wars that thing and let the pilots work on their own aircraft too.
Some of them are like really into learning like how the maintainers are, and then they adopt our humor, and then they kind of just mess around in the ready room, and that's how when you see a pilot walking in with a horse mask going.
Nice. I saw a friend's post on Facebook today that was a Marine Corps charcuterie board, although it said shark coochie board, appropriate. And it was just like an array of like properly organized, looked just like a charcuterie board, but it was just all crayons.
So I'm curious about that. Like, I'm not familiar with the wing side of anything. I'm not wing side. So are you guys like attached to like a specific pilot's jet, or do you guys kind of maneuver to what needs to be worked on within your group?
No, it's like every squadron is given an allotment of jets. For fighters, it's usually like 10 to 13, depending on the squadron. But yeah, you just have the shops broken down into different parts like electronics, avionics, the life preservation, like, the oxygen, G-suit, canopy stuff, ejection seats. They're kind of broke down into different shops, and they all work on all the aircraft. So every person is kind of like specialized in what they do on the aircraft, and then you just do all that for your squadron. And then there's like a bunch of squadrons in a group, and all that, blah blah blah.
My
command.
My first enlistment, I was on the aviation side too. So, yeah.
Marine aviation, those jets are.
Zip ties. Everything's held together by zip ties.
There was I was on I think I was in San Diego, and what's I think it's a RAG squadron for the Marines for Legacies.
So at Miramar.
They were like the red something. I think it was like VMFA 231 or something like that. But
ground side
on the edge of the horizontal stabilizer, there's like a boot that kind of like makes it more aerodynamic. Half of them were missing on all their aircraft. I was looking at it like,
well, we get what you guys give us, so it's your fault.
It still flies, and that just means it costs more fuel. Whatever, not necessarily.
Does it fly? Send it.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Can I still go blow shit up? Do it.
It still works. As long as it still works.
Yep. I had a buddy who was in Fallon, and he was talking about how there was a group of Marines doing a turn, and there was like a 30-foot like spout of flame coming out of the exhaust at high power, and they're just going like rocking out.
Let's go.
The Navy were like, "Hey, kill it! Like, let's figure it out." And the Marines are like, "Hey, you got hot dogs? You got marshmallows? Come on, we got a barbecue."
I guarantee there were enough maintainers though also being like, "Oh, that's not supposed to do that.
It looks cool. It's not supposed to do that."
Wait, so now I get to still deal with marshmallows though, so that's always fun. The big comm stuff that we do. So there's some microwave radio systems that we employ that are 1,500 watts worth of RF. So, like, what size is your microwave? Everybody know how much power your microwave has? Anybody?
1,500.
Well, no, probably not. Usually most microwaves in your home to cook food are 1,100 or 1,200 watts. And it's the same exact frequency range. So I'm literally like transmitting radio waves in the microwave range, hundreds of miles at 1500 watts or whatever. So yeah, we'll bust out the Jiffy Pop things and like hold them out there on a stick.
No way.
Like, pop,
Are you like holding your
you
nuts?
can roast
Be like,
marshmallows and hot dogs.
wear a lead suit.
Well, if you stand behind the antenna and put the stick out in front,
it's directional. It's directional.
It's directional.
Oh, that's wild.
As long as you're not in the way.
You're not supposed to, but we do it.
Of course.
It's like big fire out of the back of the jet.
Because we've never done anything we're not supposed to do in the military.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get 100% disability.
Yeah, it's like the portable X-ray machines. Like it's right by the lab where I work at.
Yeah.
And then they're like shooting X-rays. Like, am I being radioactive right now? You're like shooting right at me.
You have any kids?
I do.
Me?
No. So, did you have like prior to being exposed to the X-ray stuff? Did you have any kids?
No.
Okay, so post X-rays, you have any boys?
I do.
Was it your first?
Yes.
Did you have a girl after that?
No.
Oh no. Okay.
What the?
I was about to say, where's this going?
Where's this going? I'm scared.
So
you go to medical tomorrow.
The story goes exposure to a radiation, like especially electromagnetic radiation, will make you have girls only.
Mm.
So I had a boy prior to really like getting active in the military. And so how long you been doing this though too? It's also a question, I guess.
I mean, this was like a field op, so it's like a couple weeks.
It just around radiation like that, just a couple weeks sometime.
Yeah, I started noticing. I was like, are we supposed to be over here?
Yeah. So I've been around radio waves like years and years and years, right? So had a boy prior to really doing it, 2 girls since. And everybody I've ever talked to, as soon as you've been around radio waves for long periods of time, especially close proximity, high power, always girls.
Oh, dang. Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
I just realized I've been around comm antennas. I've been around jamming antennas.
Yeah.
Radar. You're around radar a lot.
Now, will this give me disability when I retire?
the radar altimeters. The amount of time
How
I went
can
on
I
the
prove this?
while the rattle is going on.
Yep.
It's like, oh man, I can feel a fuzzy sensation on my back.
What
oh
the-
yeah,
You're getting nauseous, like feeling like you need to eat something. You're like, oh.
like, oh no.
Yeah. I saw someone say they had a question for us.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to post it up. Oh.
Okay.
Did we answer the military movie question?
I mean, we just stopped at Top Gun. Is it accurate?
Oh yeah, I went back to it.
Never
Kelly's
saw
Heroes is mine. Like, I don't know what it is.
Of all
Kelly's
time?
Heroes.
Is this a movie of all time? I mean, Top Gun's up there now. Maverick for sure is definitely up there.
But
Saving Private Ryan, but-
you can't deny
Yes.
Clint Eastwood, Donald Sutherland, Telly Savalas, Don Rickles, like star-studded cast, hilarious. Like of all time, Kelly's Heroes, my favorite.
Yeah.
1968.
Okay, Kelly's Heroes was.
I mean,
was my
that's
favorite one.
it's a funny one, that's for sure.
Yeah, funny
it's a
one.
great cult classic military movie, I guess. Is it?
Is it?
Is
I
it
mean, Full
really?
Metal Jacket's like your cult
Yeah.
classic right there.
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket for sure is
Yeah.
like the Bible.
Heartbreak Ridge is up there too, though.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
you
I
talk
don't
about
really-
Clint Eastwood. Like, I mean, Heartbreak Ridge is there. So
Mhm.
It's either Kelly's Heroes or A Bridge Too Far for me, because A Bridge Too Far is just a cinematic masterpiece.
A Bridge Too Far. That was a classic. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite war movie.
Yeah, I mean,
And they're all all the ones I like. They're all different. Like all the ones that
Yeah,
we mentioned,
that's the
there's nothing
problem.
very similar to
Yeah.
any of them that you can kind of like compare them. Like I remember when what's the movie Desert
Private.
Storm, Jake
The Wall.
Gyllenhaal,
Jarheads.
Jarhead. Like that was supposed to be the new Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
No,
I got lost on my way to college, sir.
No, it's not the same. I guess you can kind
for what was so there's another Desert Storm was like was it Four Brothers? No, what's there's
No, not Four Brothers.
Four
not
Brothers.
Four
Yeah.
Treasures or something like that.
Yeah. King something.
Oh, Three Kings.
Three Kings. Yes, Three Kings.
Yeah, that one was
that was a
pretty
cool
cool.
movie.
Yeah,
I
that one was
enjoyed that
pretty
one.
good.
The impact on the bullets or like the injuries that they show on that one, it's like whoa, it's pretty intense.
Are you gonna watch Devotion?
What's Devotion?
Is that the one with the Navy from Korea?
Oh,
Yeah.
Like,
okay. That one actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, that looks good.
You really don't see a Korean War movie other than MASH, which you really don't see the war.
There needs to be like a Frozen Chosen Marine friggin' Korea movie, and then
the Korean movie. I was gonna say that.
Last Stand of Fox Company would make a great movie. Have you read the books?
Is that on the reading list too?
It'll make you want to re-enlist, yeah.
Battlefield Los Angeles literally almost made me re-enlist.
I took
my platoon to watch that. Like all the NCOs that are about to get out were like this close to re-enlisting because one was in LA, two of their Marines killing aliens, and like we don't want to miss that. Like if that's gonna happen, we want to.
That's funny.
Oh, that's wild.
I mean that movie was made for Marines. Come on, like I don't know what the concept and who thought of this movie to be funny, but I mean like or to do, but like you have aliens invading LA of all places.
Yeah,
Pendleton's obviously there. They can get there first, but like it's like Marines fighting aliens in the most realistic way possible.
I had to like double take though and like think to what you were talking about, because when you said I saw Battle for Los Angeles with Kurt Russell and it was a very different movie, I was like, we're talking about different things. That's different.
Battlefield Los Angeles. That's the first time you get to see Osprey in a movie. Yeah. But they're using 5 tons, so I was just like, what?
Yeah, we don't have those.
Oh, the Ospreys.
Stop! Don't talk about that movie. What movie?
Probably the one you were talking about, Battlefield Los Angeles.
Yeah, I love that movie. It's so cool. It still holds. Come on, tank, an Abrams getting blown up on the 10 freeway.
So it's any Saturday in LA.
Pretty much. But yeah, to answer the question, I can't think of a favorite. I think that if I go to a specific war movie for specific reasons, like if I want to be depressed, I'll watch Fury.
That is
you know what I mean? If I want to watch something like motivating, I'll watch this. If I want to like remember like the times, I'll watch actually one of the shows, like one of the series that are out there. You know what I mean?
Band of Brothers,
Band of Brothers, or Pacific. Pacific's a really good one.
Amazing, yeah.
It's like makes me really appreciate that I was born now and not during that time.
Yeah.
When is the new one coming out?
There's a new
Masters
one?
of the Air.
Yeah, so that one's about the what bomb?
The 8th Army Air Force.
Yeah.
So
they've been working on it for a while. I think they're supposed to come out with it. I think in the next 2 years.
Any idea who's hosting the series? There's always like the host of the.
I think it's HBO.
No, it's Apple. It's Apple.
What?
Apple picked this one
they
up?
switched over to Apple.
Weird.
That could be cool.
What? I'm very unfamiliar with the history of them. What do they do again?
The 8th Army Air Force was a bombing command out of England that would go into Germany.
Cool. Yeah.
And they lost more people than the entire Marine Corps in the
fortresses, right? Yeah. Yeah. Ooh, that's gonna. That's
the first part of like Pearl Harbor. Ben Affleck was one of the.
I was gonna say it's like wasn't Ben Affleck a part of that day, dude? I was like, I think
we don't talk about that movie. An American officer volunteering in England, that would have been, that alone is a declaration of war.
The USN is U.S. Navy. Liminal racing.
Oh, sorry.
It's cool. You want to be different. It's okay.
I'll put FMS.
Mine's just in my name.
Well, that's in your name. That makes sense. Pearl Harbor was a good movie.
Yeah.
Pearl Harbor.
That's a movie you go watch with your wife.
Yeah.
That's a cinema movie. That's not a war movie. No. You don't watch it for the realism of the war, because why would fighter pilots be flying bombers like that?
Because they're the last 2 pilots alive.
Okay, fine. So since we're in this like same genre of era of movie, what do you guys think of what was that movie?
You lead into it and then you leave us hanging.
No. It's the war. It came out like last year. Has to do with It was in the Pacific. All ships blowing each other up.
Midway.
Yeah.
I
The new
didn't watch
Midway?
I don't watch that
The
one.
new
Like
one.
the
Did you
newer
watch
one?
it? Yeah, the new
I
one.
thought it was good. I liked how they brought in the Dauntlesses. Like they are like, I mean, they're CGI. Like it's clear they're
It was
like
all CGI the whole day.
But I mean, it's like, oh, they're flying Dauntlesses. Like, you know, that's pretty cool. And you
How
know,
did I know about this movie?
You've
the
never.
whole,
I've never heard of
Navy.
this.
This
I
is
know,
like
right?
the pinnacle of like Navy warfare.
It is.
Midway is the best tactical battle of the Navy. So
and they didn't villainize Ishiroku Yamamoto. They made him like a person instead of like, oh, he's the Japanese guy, he's the bad guy. It's like, oh, he's actually like a person who's just a tactician.
He's Thanos.
Fantastic tactician, but
and that's that I was gonna bring that up. Is like the one thing I liked about that movie. I mean, I didn't like the movie because it lacked cohesiveness. Like it was really hard to invest into a specific storyline because it kind of went all over the place. I like the war scenes. Obviously, it was very like on edge, kind of like watching. But I really did appreciate the fact that they didn't paint the Japanese to be this like hardcore like villain. Even though you know we kind of painted that picture in a lot of other places and places at times where they can be, but so can we. But like that movie specifically did not make him out to be like the devil.
And they were like Yamamoto and Yamaguchi, like whenever they were together, they were like, you know, playing with each other, like, oh, don't you go ahead and start doing this? And like, who do you think I am, Nagumo? No, I'm not going to do that. And they just keep on shit talking on Chuichi Nagumo because he's an old man who's very incompetent.
Yeah.
So Vescar's comment, you're gonna need to watch out so you don't lose your legs in the next major conflict, because that's what happened to Lieutenant Dan.
Is Forrest Gump a war movie?
Yeah, there you go, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Something bit me.
Bubba.
It does, right?
Yeah.
A good chunk of the movie is him in Vietnam, and he was in the army for at least a fourth of the movie, or at least a third of the movie.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He's like all the different kinds of rain.
Yeah, also, we got soft rain in your face.
Rain coming up from underneath.
Are you some kind of genius? I love how they dissed the entire army on that one. I want to send you to OCS.
It must be a goddamn genius. He must have an IQ of 187.
I don't know if anybody picked that up, but that was a diss.
Yeah.
I was straight up diss to the military, and it was funny.
That was the thing I miss about boot camp is like, you know, you have your drill instructors or RDCs or whatever, your drill sergeants, and they will say the funniest lines, and you have to keep a straight face because you know if you laugh, they're going after you next.
And that's why you can't do boot camp again, because you know they can't touch you.
Like whenever you have that one kid apologizing to a tree every time he talks because he wastes air, and you have to sit there with a straight face, it gets difficult.
Oh, Macro, thanks, man. Appreciate it. You gave me the $10 of Canadians. Just a quick cheers and thanks to you all.
Well, hold on. He said cheers. That means I need to go get some ice and another beverage. I'll be all right.
Yeah, I should have a beer on my hand. Hold on. Yeah, you guys can drink on here. I don't care. It's Veterans Day. Who can say anything?
I mean, the Marines must be having a hangover after all the ball weeks.
Mine's next week.
Is it?
Yeah, mine's on the 16th. So they're doing ours in obviously in San Diego because I'm like at Pendleton.
Yeah.
So we're go down to San Diego. We're hoping to go to Vegas, but so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna stay in local." I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." But our tickets are like $20 a piece, so that's like every Marine that I've talked to, they're like paying over $100 per person, and their guests are gonna be like more than that. Guests are $80 for us, so altogether, that was like $100, but Shy's coming with, so it was another $100 on top of that. So
ball. We're talking about ball.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
yeah, you're gonna be here next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like-
gonna be my first. Do I have to stand at attention? Do I stand at attention during the hymn?
Yeah.
It's been a
If you
while.
want to,
It's been a while. I'm not in uniform. So,
Dan, you can do it if you want to.
I mean, I still do it in, like whenever it plays. So I'm like, but I want to record it. Can't record it while I'm at attention.
You don't. I mean, you can have your wife do it, or I can ask my wife to do it as well.
I have a tripod.
Yeah, yeah, you have a tripod. Bring your tripod.
Yeah, tripod. Yeah.
There's
There
no
you go,
op
content.
back in there. Oh, what's he busting
What's
out?
that? Starbucks?
That looks like a real drink.
Oh, it sounds like one of those mocha macchiatos, whatever.
Ooh,
Whoa.
is gonna feel it?
No.
I was about to say.
So this
Oh,
is
wow.
a new whiskey I found. It's called Tin Cup. It's out of Colorado, and it's actually pretty good for pretty cheap. So
What kind of whiskey is it?
American.
American.
No, you think I'm joking? Hold on.
Oh,
Nice.
American.
America.
Yeah. So I love the bottle. Like it's just like it's not round. It's like
Is
is
it
it? Hold on.
octagon shape? Is that a hexagon?
It's a hexagon. I was like, how size is it? It came with a shot glass. So like the lid comes off as a shot glass and then has
Oh,
the regular
nice.
cork. I was like, yeah, that's nice. Like that's smart. I'm about that mostly because of that. So and then I'm
Look,
gonna
you should
add
try that. Oh.
here. Add some Dr. Pepper Cherry Coke Zero.
Oh, nice.
Cheers. Anybody?
Yeah.
Top back
cheers.
up, yeah.
Oh, no, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. He's not ready yet.
I already drank it.
What
Oh,
the
yeah.
heck?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. You
his-
beauty?
Fancy Aquarius.
Ugh. Hey, you say you got Aquarius?
I know, dude. I was like, dang. That's so
Oh,
cool.
man, it's so good. Are you in Japan right now?
Yeah.
He is.
Where at?
Iwakuni.
Okay.
Ewo.
Uh,
We should try the Suntory whiskey over there.
Yeah, the Suntory's good. So the problem is it's like the other top end ones where there's like many tiers of the Suntory whiskey. You can get the super cheap shit. It's terrible. And then the $800 bottle of Suntory too. So like it's everywhere along the way. But you have you been out to the Hentai Bridge?
Still haven't been able to go yet. I've been
What? Quarantine?
nah, like I got
Oh.
here and then one deployment, then came back and messed up my finger, and then I've been going back and forth between Yokosuka. So
But you've been to the Chicken Shack.
Yeah, Chicken Shack. I keep hearing stories about the Chicken Shack.
no,
I don't know what that is, so I don't.
Yeah, no one's taken me yet. I've heard about it. They were like, oh, this is a Chicken Shack, but I haven't been able to go yet. I've gone to. There is just one place. It's like Steam Cook something. I forgot what it was, but it's fantastic gyoza.
Oh yeah,
Gyoza.
the gyoza are so good. So have you been to Miyajima?
No, I've basically only been between like back and forth between Yokosuka, and
Okay.
and then I went to Hiroshima for a.
Did you
Oh,
go
nice.
to the
Lucky.
museum that like documents the nuke?
No, we kind of just went there, went to the soccer game, and then went back.
It's pretty
Oh,
crazy.
you went there for a soccer game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got a cool story there. So I did a site survey for an exercise to Guam, and as a part of the exercise, we were looking at Saipan and Tinian. So all three of those islands are part of the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas, right? And on Tinian, which is a very small island, probably nobody's ever even heard of, is where we had the major, huge airfield that we were able to hit mainland Japan from. And so on the north end of Tinian is the bay, like the bomb loading bay that the Enola Gay was actually loaded up with. So they loaded up the aircraft to be able to drop the nukes on mainland Japan. So I'm out there for a site survey. I got to see the bay. It's like covered up and you can actually still see tools and stuff down in it.
Oh,
So
damn.
I'm there and then go back home. I was gone for a week and then I was in Hiroshima with the family like the next week. So I saw both ends of that trip within like a week of each other. I was like, oh man, that's a little bit of a weird feeling.
Dang.
Did you get to see any of the area like in Hiroshima, like, and actually like did you see the building that's left behind?
So we went to it's kind of like an open street mall kind of thing. Like we kind of walked through there because the people I was going with, one of them was cold, so he's like, "Oh, I need it." Like I'm thinking I should probably get a jacket. And I'm like, okay, suck it up, but okay. So we just went to this shopping area, and trying to find a jacket in American sizes is difficult.
One up.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Like especially like I'm like 6'1", 6'2", depending who measures. So
yeah, I can find anything that long.
Like the fact that I was able to find this shirt in my size is a bit of a miracle.
Yeah.
But just trying to find things in my size is almost impossible.
Yeah.
Although the weirdest thing I've had happen to me was while I was at the game, this older Japanese gentleman came up to me. He's like, "Oh, kommen Sie Deutschland?" I'm like,
no.
German?
I mean, I have German heritage, but the fact that he came up to me, like speaking German, it like threw me back. I'm like, what? Like this old Japanese
Where am
guy
I?
speaking German to me?
Nein,
Like,
Deutsch.
Yeah, I was like, "Nein, America." And then he bows and then he goes on his way. But it's still very weird that you just have this Japanese guy speaking German. I guess to bring the band back together.
Well, what was Chris Barker's question? Oh.
What's a good rebuttal for this?
So I would ask a question first, right? So have you ever experienced loss in your life so far, right? Is there anything in your life you can look back to right now, even as someone who is, I'm assuming, not old enough to join just yet, because you're asking maybe if I join, is this a potential? Is there anything in your life so far that you've gone through that includes experiencing loss of another person who's been important in your life, or a major event where it was very, very scary or anything like that, and you weren't sure maybe if you were even going to survive it? That'd be my question to a person who would ask this, because the reality is that we kind of have this perception, at least, that the common kind of trend is that PTSD is kind of limited to us. It's this thing that happens to us more common than it happens to others. And what I can tell you is the events in my life so far with 23 years of service is that most of those that actually are the top end of my traumatic stress stuff are not combat related. I have those, they're there, but the ones that like cause me the most issues to deal with are the death of my own daughter, right? So losing a daughter and both my parents when I was young, and there's things in your life most likely that are probably already affecting you in the same way. And what most likely we learn strategies. If you're managing to be a functional individual after those events happening, you've already developed strategies that work for you to survive those and get through them. They may not be good ones, they may not be healthy ones, but they're ones that seem to work for you. And what's great is if we're moving forward as a society, like I feel like we are, which is great, where it's acceptable to ask for help, you'll be able to talk to somebody who can help you maybe adjust your strategies to be healthier ones too. So that'd be where I'd start with it.
And the just to kind of amplify one part of that is that military and PTSD is a new thing that's like a priority, as opposed to how it was in the past, like in 247 years of his existence. Yeah. It probably the last 2 decades is when it's really been like analyzed and studied and like really treated. Yeah. So like I look at the stuff that we went through, and I get it. Like we were doing really difficult things as like young 20-year-olds, like clearing out villages and towns as a 23-year-old. But like, we weren't charging a hill. Yeah, we weren't charging a hill. Like we weren't storming a beach with thousands of other troops. You know what I mean? We weren't getting shot at 24/7, like every day for like a year and a half or 2-3 years before we went home. Like we weren't the greatest generation. You know what I mean? But those guys didn't get nearly an ounce of what we can get now. So, and they managed through it. So like, I wouldn't like make that as it's inevitable that it's going to happen to you, because it's not everybody goes into like to the head. You know what I mean? Like right in the very, very front, but it can happen anywhere. But it's you can get that with like seeing a car accident.
Yep. Yeah, 100%.
Like it's the same type of trauma is trauma, no matter where you get it from. And that can happen everywhere.
The audience, or like everybody in this group right now, are all males, but being raped, same way, right? That traumatic stress that comes from that is just it requires the same level of concern and like strategic thinking from someone who's trying to help that person get through that with their life as anything we're dealing with. So and it probably on some levels far worse than having experienced or seen something this traumatic, having actually personally had to deal with that exactly like that. Like I can't even imagine the level of processing and work it would take to function having experienced something like that. I have my own that go along with that same, but it's different, and it's still I can't imagine it being any easier than the processing and the work that I'm putting in to deal with my own. So like it's got to be something that you got to keep in mind. Like life in general, this is I don't know. Well, I was about to say old man in the group, but well,
not anymore.
Yeah.
Got it.
But, do we have Army in here now? Wayne, what are you Navy? You're Navy, right? I wasn't sure. I don't remember.
Hey.
We gotta represent. This is all water side now.
It's all water side.
3-3. It's 3-3.
It's all
Navy's taking over.
The Navy. Just kidding.
Sorry.
But, the Marines, there we go. Organized.
What's going on, Wayne? How's it going?
Not bad. I'm looking forward to my back surgery in 10 days. So it's just been a long drawn out process. It's going on 21 months since my injury. So
Dang,
I'm glad that surgery is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Hopefully it helps.
That's like the longest I've heard. I heard like people wait.
Yeah, well,
like 9 months.
It's a battle with Department of Labor.
Do you know what are the doctors saying that chances of improvement are? Because I know with backs especially, like, hey, look, there's a good chance it's better. There's a good chance no difference. Like, so where are you seeing?
He's saying 90% or higher.
Oh shit, that's good.
Okay,
yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, because chances with backs are often like never know. So.
Ooh, thoughts, man. I know when he told me that, I was like, oh.
Hey.
You'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, cheers.
Yeah.
Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah.
So let's bring it all in. Let's do cheers.
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 So there's no Air Force or Army. I did invite some. They all
Yeah.
freaked out. So
Yeah, where's Ezra?
Yeah, where's that?
He's at our family barbecue. So he said he might jump in when he gets a chance. I said you have until like 9:30. So yeah, it's all good. I invited some Air Force, some Army. Obviously, I have Marines and Navy on my side because
that's what we do.
You have the Navy, and then you have you guys part of the Department of the Navy. You know?
Yeah, go Navy, beat Army.
I won't.
There you go.
I won't say what department. Hey,
what's the saying? There are two actual branches: the Army and the Navy. The Marine Corps is a cult, and the Air Force is a corporation.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Have you heard the anecdote about all of the services as dogs?
I think I've seen that. I think I've seen like a picture.
I haven't actually. What is
so the idea is that each of the services can be easily represented by a dog, right? So the Army is a Saint Bernard. They're friggin' super reliable. Like you can count on those guys in a friggin' pinch. Like they can absolutely be the thing you need to like save the day. But they're also freaking huge and slow. And holy crap, can you like they got slobber everywhere, right? That's then so then the Navy would be a golden retriever, right? So like like one of the best trained, one of the most efficient dog breeds out there. You can train them to pretty much do any of the things you can think of that they would need to be able to do. Definitely looking the best, and so it's pretty simple. Right, Navy is freaking golden retriever. Seems like pretty straightforward as it is, but then Air Force would be a French poodle. So yeah, so Air Force and French poodle, they look real nice. They're always really well taken care of. But if you look into the history of it, French poodles were actually bred to be bird dogs, and they are hunters. If you didn't know it, they are hunters more than anything else. So a French poodle is actually a good representation for the Air Force. The problem with the Marine Corps though is you can't really categorize it as a single dog though. So you have to do two dogs. So Marines are either Rottweilers or Doberman Pinschers because either they're big and mean or they're skinny and mean.
Sorry, I appreciate that. I think mostly here. Okay. We got a question here. This one's written to me, but I think we all answer this. What is it like seeing the younger generation doing their part to serve their country?
I'm gonna go last. I want to go last because I'm doing this right now, right? Shy,
Okay. So I wouldn't know because I got out in 2012.
That's when I joined.
It's 10 years ago.
I mean, but I got in
2004.
2012. I got out in 12. I finished my IR in 12, technically.
I joined in 12.
Yeah. So, because I drilled.
I retired in 11.
Oh,
nice.
20 years. But so a lot of my friends they're at the end time of their careers, Papa Bear. They're either about to retire or they have a couple years left, and so they're either officers or they're high enlisted. And I asked one of my boys this question, who's a sergeant major, which is
crazy.
How are you a sergeant major, dude?
I remember the crazy shit we did.
Wait, what the hell? So I asked him, I'm like, hey, what are the Marines like now? What are the kids serving? And they're like, well, the NCOs are the youngsters coming. I'm like, the youngsters coming in. And what he told me is the Marines they're still strong. They're still, they still have that. They're really, really smart and tech savvy. So there's that. But the one thing they lack is grit. They don't have grit. There's no suffering in their life yet. You know what I mean? We all kind of had that. We had 9/11. We had a bunch of turmoil within ourselves and our country, and now we're kind of in that same kind of boat where you can kind of feel that it's leading to that part of time again. So that I like the fact that regardless of what's going on in the world right now, there are still people willing to put themselves above everybody, put everybody else above themselves, which is the one thing where I think the way some of the branches are promoting recruitment and their commercial and stuff like that, where it's focused on individuality than in the group. I think that's what's killing it. But for the most part, you don't go in the military for individualism.
Right.
It's self-service. It's selfless service. So I think I like that. I feel like it's not really appreciated amongst this generation. But I know it's still out there, and I really, really respect any youngster willing to sign the dotted lines at this point in time, more so than when we were all young and doing it because we had a reason to do it. We were motivated to do it. To join in during peacetime with no purpose aside from just waiting for some shit to pop off. It's you know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
So, Shy, just to caveat a little, so me and Wayne joined peacetime, so just throwing that out there.
Well,
yeah, but you stayed.
I joined as a result of Desert Storm.
Desert Storm. Okay. Oh. I wasn't sure. No, I wasn't sure. The timing was just about right. I wasn't sure how many years you did. So
91 to 11.
Damn, okay. I was in 5th grade. Oh, for 1st grade.
So you joined in to go to Desert Storm.
Yeah, I didn't make it, but that was it was the call of patriotism.
Yeah.
And that's what I was working in a grocery store and went to the video department. And here I am. I'm watching everything kick off on day one of Desert Storm. And the next day I was like, okay, I'm going to find a recruiter.
Yeah.
And I talked to everybody but the Air Force.
Yeah. Nice.
To be honest.
Sorry, I was reading the comment. So I joined in 2000. So I was pre 9/11, right? So I joined 100% peacetime, like these guys are now. So it was a little different for me. I was active duty in training. This is kind of a fun story. We're going to come back to it. I want to still answer it, but I want to let everybody else go first. But little story piece on it too was I was in training in Pensacola, Florida for air traffic control school as a maintenance guy for air traffic control systems when the first plane hit, right? So the first plane hits the World Trade Center, and we're talking about training air traffic controllers. And if you guys weren't aware at the time, that first plane hits, everybody still thought this was a disaster, right? Like this was an accident. This was holy crap. And so they brought us all in. Like, this is why your job's important. You're supposed to be controlling aircraft. You're supposed to be maintaining the airspace. You're supposed to be doing the things that keep these kinds of disasters from happening. We're all in that room watching live on TV, talking about how this is a disaster when the second plane hits, and everybody in the room was like, and they started to go, oh shit, we're going to war, guys. This is not an accident. There's no way this was an accident twice like that. So it was pretty stupid for us that we're there as like young Marines. I was a Lance Corporal one time.
So here's my experience with 9/11. I was in Japan at the time, so we're dealing with a 14-hour time difference.
Oh, geez.
I went to bed. I went to bed that night after watching the movie Armageddon, and I didn't know anything until I woke up the next morning. And
you're like, this is bullshit.
The stuff I was seeing on the news looked like what I just watched the night before.
I gotta find a charger on my phone about that.
Oh man,
damn.
So we have another guy who's been in Japan too.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, all of us on here.
Not me. I've been in Yokosuka, Japan.
Apparently, I've never been to Japan.
Yeah, I spent 3.5 years there.
Well, Yokosuka.
Yokosuka.
Okinawa.
I made a stop there once.
Yeah, I was in Okinawa for 12 years. So
12
Yokosuka,
years? Yeah.
Yokosuka
I'm probably going to retire there.
Is pretty nice, though. Like, the few times I've been there.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I was there for 6 months, or at least 5 months, and then we went over to South Korea for 35 days. So, and then came back. But that was our deployment. That was with security forces. So,
okay. Where were you in Korea?
So that's a different kind of deployment. That's something else.
I still need to go to South Korea. I was supposed to go on this deployment, but they left me behind, and I'm like, oh well.
They're like, bye.
Well, I got left behind for medical reasons, but it's like.
So what do you do all day then?
No advice: if you're on a flight deck, watch for trains.
Watch for trains?
On a plane?
Chains.
Oh, chains. Got it.
Yeah. You trip on one, break a finger.
Yeah.
What color shirt are you on the ship?
I am
red. He's a red shirt.
Your red shirt?
First to go.
I don't eat enough crayons to be a red shirt.
That actually makes a lot of sense. The Marines are the red shirts on their ship.
Yeah, Scarlet.
You're gonna go to shore, we're probably gonna be the ones who die.
And then a Marine AO is a double down.
What?
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can.
What are the red shirts for the orange people?
Yeah. I'm a green shirt.
Green, right? Yeah.
So I was out walking the dog when you guys were talking about movies, and I will say that Full Metal Jacket holds a near and dear place in my heart.
Yeah.
During Chief's initiation in 2003, we did that as a skit for the Chiefs mess. And we had to do it over and over and over again just because it was one of the guys' favorite movies. And I was Gunnery Sergeant Hartman.
Nice.
I was so sad when he died, man. Like I was like,
it's been a long time, but I had it memorized for that whole time and for years afterwards.
I'm trying to not include that fan in the freaking light. There we go.
I still yet to find an unattended chief box. I just one time in my career just find an unattended chief box and just.
Well, if you ever find one, better bring it to your chief.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you do with it before you give it to him, you know, it's your business. But if you give it to him, that selectee is going to get punished.
I just saw the picture once of like, hey guys, I found this. What do I do with it? And it was an unintended chief box. I'm like, oh no.
I mean, if you grab it, there better not be any witnesses.
Yeah, the whole class saw when we found Archie's box.
Oh.
Ran into the Navy. We're like, what's this? Senior Chief Fox says, like, oh, give me that.
So, anybody else want to come in on the young people joining right now before I do? And then we need to answer this question because I think this is a good one too.
So I will, because like currently myself being like still a young sergeant in that, I'm noticing a lot, especially with the community I'm part of, the LAR community I'm part of. I'm noticing a lot of Marines coming in. They are tough, smart, but they also don't. There's not a lot of respect for rank, is what I'm noticing a lot. Unfortunately, that's what I'm noticing a ton. Even like, because what I'm noticing is like, when was the Lance Corporal in that PFC, we got our shit pushed in no matter what, because of like, even if we didn't screw up, if we did something wrong, regardless, we got all punished, either a squad or a fire team. Nowadays, we try to do that. A lot of Marines will call hazing. Yeah. And so it's like, well, what do we necessarily do? We can't like yell at them, or they'll say it's hazing, even though we haven't done anything to them. So it's one of the things that, like, even though I'm getting out medically, I'm still trying to like figure out and train my NCOs that I have to figure out what they're going to do for the Marines that are still coming in. It's just one of those hard things because like like I said, a lot of Marines are not coming in with the respect. Once they finish boot camp and they get the EGA, they feel entitled. They got what the EGA, now they're feeling entitled. Unfortunately, that's what I've noticed, at least from my experience in the 6 years I've been in.
Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna put you on the spot, little man. I'm sorry. So, what do you think that they feel like they're entitled to? That's a question I have to ask you.
So I personally, from what I've noticed, is like entitled to, obviously they earned the EGA, Eagle of Anchor, being a Marine, the title of Marine. So they think they can do whatever they want and not respect like rank above. That's some of the Marine, like not every Marine. There's actually good ones, the junior Marines, that are like ones that will obviously want to learn and be there and everything. Others are just like, oh, I've earned the title. Now I can do whatever I want, per se.
So something I'm trying to teach, because so you might not know, so we haven't got a chance talking in a little while, but so I'm like in charge of all training for Marines at communication school, right? Mm-hmm. So to understand not just this crew, but like how people learn in general, and this generation that's coming in right now is embodying it more than others, and probably even more than we did, and more than we understood, I think, probably is part of it.
Yeah.
So I talk about them as being Generation Y. So we talk about like Generation X was there, and then there's the millennials, but then basically like the current, they're actually Generation Z, but I call them Generation Y, not the letter, the question, right? Why? Yeah. Question mark. And so to me, what I think in most cases, what they feel entitled to is the answer to that question, right? So they want to understand why they're being told what they're doing. And I think that they are owed that as well, because here's how this works on the mission accomplishment level, which is commander's intent, right? So we talk about commander's intent. Commander's intent is understanding why. That's all commander's intent is like, what is the real end objective? What are we worried about? What are we doing? Why are we doing that? And sometimes our small orders don't necessarily make sense if you don't understand how that fits into the big why. And that's where I think a lot of them feel entitled to understand that, and maybe we're not doing enough to make sure that they understand why. So I do this period of instruction with all of my staff and all the bigger courses that come up, and in it I talk about you have to take these four things and put them in order of importance. And remember, this is communication school, right? So yeah, one of them is mission accomplishment. One of them is like a robust communications architecture. Another is communication, command and control, like functional command and control, and the other is marine welfare, right? So what's really fun is for me to see that pretty much every time I present this to the classes that I go to and do this presentation and ask that question, maybe one gets it correct in the order that I want to see, right? Which is fine. This is me asking the question, so I get to decide what the right answer is. So that's fun about that too, right? But and so I always go up there to the board because say 9 out of 10 got it wrong. There's one. I'm like, so the 9 of y'all who got it wrong, what I'm gonna guess is, and I circle Marines welfare because it's second. And I like draw an arrow down. I'm gonna assume this is somewhere lower on the list, and that's where you got it wrong. Right? Like that's where everybody else put that thing further down. All that matters is mission accomplishment first, 100%, yes. But then second is supposed to be Marines welfare, and we learn that at NCO academies and all the other stuff. But we lose track of that sometimes over time and think, especially as like comm guys, like all the other stuff that facilitates that mission is more important than the Marines. You know, how much they get happy hot chow and how much sleep they get and how much liver they get. That's not Marines welfare. That's not what I'm talking about. The Marines welfare I'm talking about is understanding what the fuck they're doing. Like, why are we here? Why are we trying to accomplish that? And so that I can then push harder towards that goal and really understand why I'm putting in all this extra work, especially if I'm asking you to do all this weird new stuff that we didn't train to originally because now the enemy threat is different, right? So we're talking about new capabilities, new concepts, and we haven't trained to that. I'm asking you to do all these new things. Can I understand a little bit about why? And that's what I think that they feel entitled to. They're entitled to understand. And if we ask them those kinds of questions and drive towards that kind of thing, I think we can do better by them and make them have that grit, because I don't think it's that they're lacking. I think it's that they have it in a different way than we're all kind of used to. It's the ability to persevere through challenges that are different than ours. If we put them in the field and it's cold and they're wet and they're tired, most are still going to do what Marines do. They're going to be okay.
They're going to shit talk though. Still, that's still good.
Pretend like we didn't complain about it. Of course, we complained about it. Yeah. You just still did what you needed to do, right? Like you're going to complain. Complaining is okay.
I do feel bad for you guys who are still in leading Marines, because that part right there we were talking about, like the why part. I think it's very important, because when we were all young Marines, we have to, like, there's nowhere else we can get the information from what we need to do of the why, unless it's coming from top down, right? Because we don't have any other access of figuring out why. Now it's so easy for them to figure out another way of figuring out why they're doing things. And the problem with that is that now you, as an officer or a leader, can't control the narrative at that point. Yeah. So then they're being influenced by other things that are that can be completely bogus. And now they have that in their head, which then impacts the overall mission. So I think you guys definitely have it a lot harder as leaders in the military than at least I did when I was younger.
So some of that takes us learning those tools as well, right? Like, I mean, look, I'm old and I'm here, right? And the reality is that we need to learn to adapt to what they have available to them as well. And so start putting the pressure on them to figure out the answers to the questions they have that are available to them to find out on their own. So then you drive that dialogue so that, hey, these are the things I want you to figure out. These are the things I want you to come to me for, because they're different than those things you can find. The mission order set stuff that's at a secret level classification is not going to be available for you to fucking Google search. You can't go watch a YouTube video on how you accomplish the mission that we're talking about if it's secret. So you need to come to us and talk about how we meet these real mission objectives and why that's important. And I'll absolutely sit and talk with you about it. That's not going to be on Google, but how to program a system, or how to, this is probably more. I'm trying to find an analogy that works for more fields than just the comedy or nerds in the room. But how about proper combat breathing cycles, right? Like a 4 second, 4 second, 4 second, 4 second. You can learn that on Google. You can read a couple books on that and learn how to control your heart rate and your breathing and your stress levels in the one thing that you can control, which is your breathing. You can go do that, and you can practice. You can go do yoga. You can do all these other things to actually improve yourself without me telling you exactly how that works. And then you own it, right? Then you own that process, and you own that knowledge and that learning. So that's part of what I'm trying to change.
You're muted.
That's deep.
Me?
Yeah. No, that's deep. That's like a lot of good insight.
Yeah.
I actually
Hopefully that
got like
helped you, dude.
flashbacks from. I took a Credo course and Chaps was talking about like adapting to the next generation,
Yeah.
Generation Y. I think it was a book. I think
Yep.
there was a book about that. Yeah. So that was a very interesting read.
I read a lot.
That's on the book list. Shy.
Yeah. Whenever
what's on
I
a
Credo
am,
course.
What's not on the Commandant's reading list?
That was on the book. I remember that one.
So-
alright,
now that I'm like new into being into a supervisory role, like I mean, I made second class like a couple years ago, but I'm still like just becoming like a true supervisor and leader of in my shop. But there are some times where a guy would come in, like now that like we're just a small ragtag group of people until everyone comes back. And like we have this brand new, like still boot camp on like breakfast on his breath. The cornbread is still on his breath. And
Still smells like cash sales, that's what we say.
and we're doing the typical thing that you do whenever there's like 10 of you in a building with floors. You're gonna strip and wax the floors every single time.
And that's really
And while we're stripping and waxing the floors, he's like, man, this is so stupid. This isn't why I joined. I'm like, hey, this is going to be the easiest your job's going to be in a long time.
Fact.
yeah.
Like you're not going to appreciate it now, but whenever you're out in the rain carrying a 180-pound part going up the ladder well of a boat, you're going to be like, oh, I wish I was stripping and waxing the floor about now.
Or the poor Marine mopping the grinder while it's raining in Camp Foster, Okinawa.
You're like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I here right now?
Have you guys seen that meme? I saw in real life. I was like,
no.
That was Camp Foster.
But that is the kind of stuff that Marines do.
Yeah.
But also there's another level of that too, which is like your tasks and your responsibilities are so straightforward at that point in your life too. Literally just do the shit someone's telling you to do. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You know how much direction, how much specific tasking I receive on a daily basis?
A lot.
No, fucking zero. I have to figure out exactly what it is that we're supposed to be doing. Like everything that is anything that it is that I'm supposed to like do, I kind of have to look at the problem sets and say, these are the things we need to be doing, guys, in order to actually move. And I'm talking like, I'm trying to put together projects that are going to have impact next 10 years. No one's telling me exactly what to do. And it's great. And I love what I'm doing, but it's also completely different than the simplicity of just freaking strip and wax this damn floor. Right? There's something beautiful in the simplicity of that task. Like, I know what my job is, and for the next 6 hours, this is what I'm doing. That's it.
I'm gonna have my headphones in. I'm just gonna be.
Yeah. I'm gonna finish an audiobook on this shit.
Yep. On the mid-watch, just waxing a P-way. Stripping and waxing a P-way. That's your job. That's it.
It's super easy.
But also, like, trying to motivate, like, whenever we are actually doing the dirty work on what I'm actually paid to do.
The dirty
work. Sometimes motivating some of these newer people, it's like, because we'll be like, okay, we're going to go do this on this jet. And sometimes you'll have the one kid who goes, oh, I haven't done that yet. Can I see how it's done? And then it's like, yeah, come along. But then you always have that one guy who's in the back who's like either on his phone or doing like, doing something. It's like, hey, why don't you come out with us? And then he'll be like, okay. And then you'll be out on the job. And then the one who's like, oh, I haven't done this. He's doing all the work. And you see the other guy, he's just standing there chasing butterflies. Like, oh, okay. Like trying to motivate them is.
Yeah. That's the same. That's same one who's going to complain about stripping the floors. And you know why you ended up stripping the floors? Because it's a simple task that needs to get done. You don't seem to give a shit about anything else. So I'm going to put you on that task.
Yeah, it's like like whenever someone's like, oh, hey, can you go stand this person's watch for them? It's like, oh, why am I always standing watch? It's like, well, because you don't know how to do this job. Maybe if you get qualified and you learn this job, then you won't be sitting at a desk for 8 hours just staring at nothing but a P-way.
So you want to know something fun about what you just said is that that qualification level, that certification, like have I been evaluated by my supervisors to be skilled enough to do this task or whatever, that you're like super familiar with and think of as second nature. Most jobs don't do that. Most jobs, like you could be sent to the field to do that task regardless of whether or not you've ever been evaluated as to whether or not you can actually accomplish that task in the military in general. Like it's crazy how bad our training standards are for most of the fields. It's generally aviation that is going to hold you to a, like, have you been evaluated as to whether or not you can actually do this thing? Because they're like, planes will freaking crash and people will freak the fuck out if a plane or a helicopter crashes. So therefore, we're not letting anybody touch this thing who doesn't know what they're doing. So it frustrates the hell out of me that like my community in communications could have a super technical skill. Like I need you to program this router or this server or this radio wave system that transmits at 1500 watts and could microwave people's fucking faces. No, that's okay. Go to the field, set it up.
It was like this last task here that I was a part of. The Surgeon General told my med group, imagine building a plane without a blueprint and you flew it. And we're just all like, what? This is a shit show.
That sounds terrible. Doesn't that sound terrible?
That's so terrible. Yeah. This is coming from like a rear admiral. We're like,
That's what, and he's saying that that's what y'all are doing.
Yeah. It was so funny. It was hilarious.
And you guys are the ones supposed to be putting us back together? That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, it's simple. They're just going to tell us to change our socks and drink more water and take some ibuprofen anyway, so it's all right.
Oh, Motrin? Yeah. Take some Motrin.
Hey, vitamin M.
All right. Let's answer this question.
Yeah, let's get to that one.
Yeah.
Does it pay good, or is the military more of a job satisfaction career? To do your job, I'd feel like I'd want a truckload of cash.
So can I start here?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So the pay is what you make of it. And when you have the opportunities, you stash cash away, like on deployment.
Mm-hmm.
Your job satisfaction, I mean, that's going to come with every assignment that you have. I've had terrible assignments, and I've had assignments that I never wanted to leave.
Yeah.
So, one of the keys is when you're early in your career, start stashing money into your TSP and let it grow for you. If you take opportunities and you blow re-enlistment bonuses if you have them, and you do dumb shit like buy TVs when you get a re-enlistment bonus. Been there, done that one. Take the opportunities to stash money away, and then you're gonna, when the time comes, either when you separate or when you retire, you're gonna have a stash of cash sitting in your TSP for when you want it. Mm-hmm. Good time to save money is when you're on deployment. What else do you have to spend money on? So that's what I got to say.
And military is what? It's above 69% of the rest of the country as a whole for the U.S., I think, in pay. But it's also like job security. It's not going anywhere. You have something to do. You have something. You have a skill somewhat to be able to transfer somewhere in a civilian world that pay 10 times more. You have something. There's a lot of pros to that. Like you're not also paying for a lot of other things. Like if you're a single person, like you're not paying for rent, housing. You know what I mean? Like he's living in a dorm or a barracks, right? That's where you're at. Like medical's not being paid for. Like there's a lot of other things other expenses that you're not paying for.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So you have to also put those into the equation. But I do know that pay is another reason why recruiting is also hard. Yep. Right now, because a lot of people just don't see the reason why.
Especially in the beginning, like whenever you're in E1, E2, E3, like you're getting like virtually nothing, and you have to pay for all your uniforms, pay for everything else, and like in the beginning you have like 2 cents and a favor to try to buy stuff, and but like as soon as you like going from E4 to E5 is like a huge jump, and then E5 to E6 is an even bigger jump, and as you rank up, you just, especially if you start off as commissioned as an officer, if you go from enlisted to officer, like just the pay increase going from there is even better, and you have like, you probably see your CEO driving a Bentley around, and then you get out and you're like, oh, I want that, and like, well, become a commander, and you know it'll work out for you. But you know, you're E3, you're going to get the 1996 Honda Civic.
Yeah,
you got to work for the Bentley.
No, they're not. They're going to go off base and get a brand new Mustang for 26.
Like
the Corvette.
27% APR rate.
I have a 2006 Mazda.
We finance E1 and up.
Horrible. Horrible.
I bought a 2006 Mazda 3 for less than $4,000. That baby served me for at least 4 years, perfectly fine. And I still got the same amount of ladies as the guy with the Mustang. So you don't have to worry about that.
Nice.
Okay, so pay and compensation. Anybody else want to go before I do? Close it out?
I mean,
you got a good question down there.
You're an officer. I think you should end it.
All right.
And a Mustang too, right?
So I do not.
Yeah, and a Mustang.
I have a truck, but that's because I got to do work. Okay. So we struggle to keep people in my field and stuff because of the pay difference, right? So, but I think the problem is most people don't do the math right, and that's what I think some of us are getting at. So they look at their pay, which is say maybe $50,000 or $60,000 a year, and then we're talking about sergeants maybe at the end of their first term. And they're like, I can get out as a networking Marine, the Marine that knows Cisco and can do like IT work, right? Or I have Microsoft certifications and I can go build servers for Microsoft. I can get out right now and come in at entry level at $110,000 a year. So I could double my pay, $50,000 or $60,000. But the problem is that looks really good on paper when you look at pay to pay. But what you don't count for is I'm not paying for housing. I get my housing allowance. I'm not paying for medical. I don't have to pay for insurance. I have all these other compensations that aren't there. There is a tool. There's a really great tool that's available for those who are still in the service to show you your actual total compensation value so that you can compare those numbers. And honestly, if those numbers are really close, what are you going to get more satisfaction doing? Working for a big nameless corporation or serving your country, serving the people who are part of this country who you feel are worth it? And most of the time it comes down to that. Yeah, he see me looping it back around. Most of the time it comes down to that for us, like where we stay because what I'm doing is important and what I'm doing has value that I feel like is more important than the money I can make. I'm leading a nonprofit organization right now. I'm doing the work that I'm doing at this level. My estimation of the comparisons between me and a civilian individual doing the work that I'm doing right now, I make maybe around $100,000 a year, right? Maybe just a little bit over that. If as a civilian I was doing the same amount of work, I'd be making $600,000 probably to $700,000 a year. But it's not because of those things that I do it. It's because I'm a Marine and I'm doing what I think is important to help the future of the Marine Corps. And I think that serving the rest of our country with what it is that I do is important. And then also on the nonprofit leader, like organization side, like trying to help solve the problem of veteran homelessness is important. And it's for that reason that I'm doing it, that mission that I'm doing it, not because of how much money I'm making. And so I think a lot of people stay and do what we're doing because what we're doing is important. And I will say, like, who we are working with is probably huge. And I think somebody mentioned it, I can't remember too, as we were talking through this subject, was like, you've had some really great tours and you've had some really terrible tours. It's 99% of the time the people who you're with at the great places that make it great. It's not the job or the particular mission of that unit. It's who happened to be there when you happen to be there, and then that like perfect mesh of people who just freaking crush it and like knock it out of the park, and you're like so successful as an organization. It's because the right people were there, and we have that happen, and that makes us want to stay. And then you know that you could go to a nameless corporation and sit in a cubicle and make $160,000 a year. But I would not give a shit about the dude in the next cubicle over who's worried about me stealing the swing line stapler. So,
I feel like you're targeting me right now.
You do work at a nameless corporation cubicle.
I do.
Take my stapler. I'm going to burn this place down.
I'm going to need you to move your desk to the basement. And while you're down there, maybe you can take care of the rat problem.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. I love that movie, by the way. It's a great movie.
I've never been. Anybody else?
Closest I've been is Sydney.
Okay. All right. So this looks like it's on me then. So,
Dang.
So, been to Sydney, been to New Zealand, been to Darwin, planned exercises for Darwin. Are you going on actual rotational force to Darwin soon? Are you actually active duty, and this is something you're planning to do? Because I can talk to you about what it is that you do, where you'll go, some of the things it is that are great about that particular tour. We're talking about right now as a serious conversation. I'm waiting for the question to follow up. So are you going there right now?
I think he's from Australia.
Oh, is he just an Australian? And
yeah, look at the this picture.
Yeah, he looks like he's from Australia.
It does look like, yeah, that's an Australian.
Yeah.
But maybe he's just headed there and decided to put an Australian flag on his picture. So there's a serious consideration in the Marine Corps right now. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Man, we may have met. Anyways, the MRF forces are seriously considering being a fully established thing. So the problem with Darwin is...
Can you give us context on this?
What's up?
Can you give us context?
Darwin?
What is it? All that kind of stuff. To the best of your ability without saying anything.
Yeah, so the acronym is Marine Rotational Force Darwin. So a battalion of Marines right now rotates out to the location of Darwin, which is in the northwestern areas in Australia, right? I think it's specifically to the Northwestern Territories. So they go out there, they do a couple exercises, and they're basically partnered up with Australian military services. No knock to our person with the question there. The Australian military in total is about the size of the Marine Corps, the United States Marine Corps. So for them, their total military layout and the way that they manage and work and some of the stuff that they're like trying to figure out, they're really, really wanting to partner well with the Marine Corps because we managed to do full service component stuff at the Marine Corps scale, which is the same as their scale. So they're like, hey, how do you make these things work at so small of a service? So part of the problem with Darwin, though, is the weather there is total shit about half of the year. Like, it is really hard to do anything about half of the year. So we struggle. We basically say we're going to send a force out. They do work about 6 months out of the year, partnering with Australian forces, do exercises, practice, train together. And then we're like, we're out. We're going to come back in 6 months. We put all the gear in a warehouse and leave and come back in 6 months. So there's serious Australian pressure towards the United States. And then the services are, I mean, Marines are like, hell yeah, we'll do whatever. But where instead of just leaving, we go from Darwin to somewhere with better weather back to Darwin. Like, kind of like we'll rotate between locations in Darwin, or I mean, in Australia, but not leave Australia. They want us there. Like the general attitude from the Australians. And I've got to do some really great exercises, some really great planning conferences with Australian military folks. What's really cool was I met a Australian, I think he was Australian Army Forces guy who was a warrant officer, and he made captain too. So like it's really great meeting these guys and talking with them and going to planning conferences, and they're a lot like the Marines are. So those in the crew, the three out of us who are the Marines, and they're very similar to the way we think and work and move. So it's Darwin 6 months out of the year is nice. Like, it's really great. I will say it's a little bit of a backwater. So like it's small town. It's not a whole lot there. There's a couple bases and then a little town. Totally weird anecdote for the Americans in the crew. Go ahead. What's up?
Sounds like Camp Lejeune.
Yeah. Oh, good old Camp Lejeune.
Or 29 Palms. Or 29 Palms.
It's Buford.
Okay.
Buford.
It's like even further out a little ways. Like Jacksonville is way bigger than Darwin.
Yeah.
So for those the Americans in the group who are working on being better at this, really close friend of mine, Marine Chief Warrant Officer, African American, goes down there on an event, right, and goes into a bar, and he's told, get the fuck out of here. Like, hey, you can't come in here. Get the fuck out of the bar. And he's like, excuse me, what? And they could tell from his accent he wasn't Australian or Aboriginal, right?
Oh.
And they're like, oh, cool. Hey, you're American. Hey, come on in, man. Like, it was literally not an issue with skin color or anything like that. The fact that he was American was fine for him to come in. They literally just did not want people from Australian Aboriginal ancestry in their bar. I was like, that's some bullshit. He was super torn. He's like, what do I do at this point? Because like, it's not a problem that I'm black. It's a problem that I'm potentially Aboriginal. He's like, I don't even know how to feel right now. He told me the story, and it's so they're still figuring things out. I think they're still. I don't know from our person with the question how you feel about these things, but we had I did a planning conference in Newcastle. I don't know where our friend is from, but and I spent plenty of nights in the pub, you know, drinking some beers with some friends, some Australian friends, and I got the like 1950s US vibe, right? Like women's places in the kitchen, and like it's different, and they're still growing, and they're still changing. And I think that Australian culture is coming forward a lot. It's changing a lot, and it's pretty fun. But our friend is obviously Australian, so anybody who has a chance, totally go. My family and I got a chance to spend a week in Sydney and then a week in New Zealand, and loved every minute of it. It was great.
Oh, nice.
I've heard about the barber shops in Australia, like certain barber shops.
I mean, like the barber shops in Korea. So, I mean.
What's that?
What?
Yeah,
Two barber pools.
Yeah, so there's barber shops that offer massages. We are told we can't go to those.
Like Soapy's? Yeah, they'll go to Soapy's, Poker.
They see your senior enlisted in there, and they just look at you like, hey.
So you're talking to a pretty straight edge guy. Like, I never went to that stuff because I knew I wasn't supposed to, and it's not the thing that I'm interested in and why I'm there. So I knew about it, and even in Vegas, like they're handing out cards that to me was the equivalent of the Soapy cards in Figuring the
Yeah,
Soapy. Like
10% off.
Hey, you want Soapy? You want Soapy? I'm like, no, I'm good.
No.
And it's like you can't resist the cards. They're somehow flinging them into your pockets. You're like, this is ridiculous.
All right. Well, what a way to end this with the Soapy cards. But thank you. I just wanted to cap it at 2 hours because I don't want to drag it along because we can literally just sit here and talk forever.
Yeah.
That's like the problem with like
I know.
in
I was like,
general,
dates
our
are
military personnel. Like we can just talk and it'll just go everywhere. So I'm just gonna hard stop it right here. But before we go, does anyone have anything they want to bring up or any last rounds before we say our goodbyes?
Save rounds.
Save rounds. I can't.
Let's go in order. Juan, you go.
I got nothing.
Nothing? Nada? Okay. Well, thank you to everyone in the chat. Okay, never mind. The officer has something.
I do want to. So I would like to ask everybody to check out rescueresidence.org. So go www.rescueresidence.org. Check out what our mission is. See what it is that we're doing. We have a Patreon. I know that a lot of YouTubers do Patreon to help support them. We're doing this as a nonprofit organization. So I do pay percentages to Patreon and to PayPal, but that's just a part of doing business, right? But if you check it out, our Patreon, at the minimum tier, you can come in at $3 a month. It gets you access to our Discord, lets you talk to the board members, including somebody right over there. And if you check it out and like come in and talk to us, you can tell us what it is that we're doing, how we can do things better, ask us questions. and really keep up with what it is we're doing. This Sunday, the 13th, I'll be out at Love Local CV here in Palm Springs area, and the ambulance will be out there. My very first ambulance that we're doing basically work to convert over to be a home for a homeless veteran. The idea is they'll come live in this one on site, and we're going to be building out hopefully 6 total to be on site, and then eventually each person who joins our program will be building their own that they'll take somewhere else in the country with the skills that they've learned to be able to hopefully start a new life and a new career, no longer being homeless and maybe being able to be a little more in control of their own future. And that $3 at a minimum that you give is huge. And if you can share that mission with your friends and your family, and everybody gives $3, suddenly we're, really working to be able to change the lives of some veterans who are currently living homeless on the streets and should not be. I think all of us can agree that's not a state of being that anybody should ever end up in, and a veteran even less than others. So maybe we can find a way to help them out a little bit. And, your $3 a minimum could potentially make a big change. Every tier from there, like Patreon's able to, has more benefits. $9 gets you some stickers and some magnets, and $25 I think is the next up from there, and you get access to t-shirts and some other stuff too. So it's big. If you go crazy, you want to really go crazy, and if you have all the money to do so, I don't know that anybody in this crew does, because like we talked about, pay is not really there for us. But if someone else there who is watching is able to, you could potentially end up, if we end up with enough through that particular tier, end up winning yourself a custom designed ambulance RV type home designed by me and put together by our crew, that you could then use as your own RV and be a kind of an advertising symbol for us and what it is that we're trying to do for our mission. So thanks for giving me a couple minutes to talk about it, Shy. I appreciate it.
Cool. It was going to go to that anyway, so I appreciate you just taking it.
Hell yeah.
All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone on the panel. Army sucks.
Didn't even show up.
No one joined up. But go Navy, beat Army. You guys have a wonderful rest of your Veterans Day. Also, happy Marine Corps birthday.
Right.
Guys.
Yeah, happy birthday. Happy Veterans Day.
You're worth it.
You're worth it.
You're worth it.
You're